Yo, good morning, troublemakers. It is Tuesday, May 3rd. All the nerds are excited for tomorrow, but we'll talk about that. We're talking about tomorrow. Today, we're talking about EV credits ending, 500,000 retirees re-entering the workforce. What?
Everywhere I go, the people really want to know who I is and
this one
who
surprised
I
me.
Man, wait a second. You cracking on the nerds before May 4th is even here, man. Unbelievable.
You know, I think the concentration of nerds has definitely increased within the walls of ASOTU.
Yes.
So I think I'm just more aware of the excitement, anticipatory energy coming.
Right. It's
I
like
think
a big
more than I have been
holiday.
before.
It's a big
It is.
holiday.
It is.
In
We
a lot
don't
of those worlds.
We don't only have the nerds in the halls, but you know, we have spouses of the nerds. There's just a broad level of excitement for May the 4th. So
Yes.
maybe we'll do a little something
Gotta do a little
special.
something
It's
special.
already on my mind. Well, I typed in the date today, and then this week it was like
we
May
should
the
the
3rd.
podcast should start off like bam, 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 like scrolling thing.
Oh,
Across.
maybe a parody video. We can vilify people and we can make people hear.
Oh, that would be sideways. That'd be
Which
great.
I think that comment may have sent all our resident nerds scrambling for ideas right now. I know
Right.
exactly what to do.
I got it. This is great. This is great. All right, let's get into it. That's
So
tomorrow.
good.
That's tomorrow.
That's tomorrow. So today a few things came up. Before we do that, we just want to remind you that just less than a week away, May 9th, Monday, we have an awesome event. It's our first one of the year, so we're super excited for it. May 9th, Monday night, first night of Digital Dealer. We are having the ASOTU Family Reunion remix, a remix of last year's event, which was a huge hit. I mean, it was one to remember. I'm literally still seeing selfie pictures circulate from that event on LinkedIn. Like,
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Now.
And now they're coming back because it's like, remember last year? Here we go.
That's right. That's right. And so
It's really fun.
we thought yesterday, your tickets are selling. We still have tickets left. Dealers are free this year, which is different than it was last year. Actually, different than it has been for all of our events where dealers have had to pay full price. Our friends at Autify paid for all the dealer tickets. So if you're a dealer or a dealership employee, you can come for free. And it's not just food and drinks. We're going to have awesome food and awesome drinks, but we have a retail swag experience. We're giving away cash for gas money. We're going to have some hosted live streams. So it's going to be a big step up. It's a remix, right? Big step up from last year.
It's going to be a ton of fun. So, and what I think, what we've started to realize is that wherever these events are across the US, right? Whether we're at Digital Dealer or doing our own thing or whatever it is, we've started to recognize, wow, that tapping into the local tapestry of dealers is so important. So if you know of any dealers or dealer personnel that are actually in Tampa, even if they're not attending
Greater
Digital
Tampa,
Dealer,
right.
Greater Tampa, St. Pete area, even if they're not attending Digital Dealer, that's what's so cool about this event is it's a low barrier of entry opportunity to be around the great thinkers in automotive. So just send them the link, tell them to come on, get down next to the water on American Social that night. And I mean, we know people that are flying in just for the event, literally, and not going to Digital Dealer. So goodness, at least the local people can come on by. That's why we want to be there. We want to serve the community and serve the dealer community no matter where we're at.
Yeah. So if you're a vendor, a local rep, even if you know right now any dealership employee, whether that's an owner, a manager, a service writer, send them the link. Tell them, hey, there's this thing going on. You're a dealer employee. You can go for free. We'd love to welcome them into this community, and then maybe we can get them into the community, right? Like the more people that are thinking this way about the industry and thinking a little more deeply, a little more broadly about the industry, we all know that makes it all better. So, hey, right now, if you know somebody, send them a text, let them know about the event. Tell them they can get a ticket for free if they work at a dealer. And it's not just a free, you know what I mean? Like, we're not going to try to sell them a timeshare. You know what I'm saying?
we're letting them in free, giving them free food, free drink, and free swag and literally no ask.
All we
It's
want
great.
is for them to be better and to take
Yes,
some of that
exactly.
energy back to their store on Tuesday. It's the only requirement.
Paul, you're such a guy. What a guy.
You're such a guy. Let's talk about a little news today. Toyota is next in line to lose the EV credit, the $7,500 EV credit that has been going around, because if you remember when it initially was put to place, it had a vehicle limit. You can only claim the credit for 200,000 vehicles.
Right.
Toyota's next in line. Tesla was the first one to hit it. Obviously, all they sell is EVs. And who's second to hit it? Somebody else hit it.
Would it be Nissan? Has Nissan already hit it? I have no clue.
Maybe GM.
Did
I think
GM already
GM
do
hit
it?
it. I think GM hit it, or yeah,
Okay.
two have gone. I'll check the article at
Check
some point.
the article.
So basically, they're
Someone
projecting that
click
Toyota will be at 183,000 EVs by the end of 2021. That's where they were and where they landed. 8,400 of those were last quarter. So they're really rocketing to that. And what happens is after you hit 200,000, it actually starts to phase out. The credit gets halved for the next quarter and then halved again for the second quarter after you hit the mark. And so some GM, Tesla, Toyota, they're lobbying for an extension, right? Saying like, hey, we need to extend this. Because if you think about it, the credit was really to incentivize people to get the vehicle when there was a lot of confusion and questioning about it, to incentivize manufacturers to produce more of these. But as we know now, manufacturers by 2030, right? By 2030,
We're so doing a parody on that.
Right?
We're coming.
But everybody's in the game now. So they're saying, hey, let's extend it, because the early adopters are actually going to be now at a disadvantage, the ones who did all the work to try to get the early adoption. So they're trying to lobby to extend it, but they are also lobbying against additional credits on top of that.
Yeah.
Isn't that something?
Well, and actually Elon's come out a few times and been like, it's actually not good for the EV market to continue to extend all of the credits, because what it does is it makes it so that when they do go away, there's less of an affinity to the EV market, because there's such aggressive credits out there. I mean, I remember back, when I was selling Leafs back in the day, you could get up to $10,000 in credits because of like different state and federal opportunities in Tennessee. And so, that totally devalues the vehicle. Some people only got in because it was that. And so I think that there's some level, there's somewhere in between still at this point, because there still needs to be incentive to go there. Especially thinking like, I've been talking to Brian Kramer and Jared Kilway, like just thinking about what people have to pay to get something installed in their home. Right.
I feel like that makes a rational incentive. Right. If you buy an EV, like because it's almost like an infrastructure incentive.
Yes.
Because if you have it installed in your home, guess what? When you move and sell that home, it's already equipped with an EV charging station. Right.
Yep.
So which worked for people who own homes, but apartment living and stuff like that, not so exciting.
Exactly.
Not so exciting. Like Benstock was like, we don't have a 3,000-foot extension cord.
So you had to go to the 10th floor
out the window.
Yep.
And so like I agree. It's one of those things where it creates a false floor in the market.
Sure.
And it kind of messes up capitalism. Right. Which in the end, right, somebody's left holding that bag. Yep. Somebody's left holding the bag. And obviously there's a lot of momentum. We have EV backlog orders, right? There's no shortage of demand, right? So, and there's no shortage of attention on it. So I think the takeaway.
Yeah, we had an article in the pushback email this morning about a bill that's that is getting pushed into being signed that would throw billions of dollars into EV infrastructure, right?
Yeah,
and so or something. It's really interesting that that you've got like this continued need for government intervention in order to see EVs have a foothold, right? Because the infrastructure is so deep on the internal combustion, on the gas level, to speed it up. Like everyone's talking 2030, and I think that's just so quick. And so the only way to do it is continue to incentivize both the private and public sector to get everything ready for an EV future. So.
Yeah, and the jury's out on like whether or not we'll be able to get there. We've talked about that before. Big takeaway, we think, for dealers is that it's good to pay attention to the air war, right? What's going on at the top levels. But really, you're always going to win or lose based on the ground game that you control.
Yes,
right?
Exactly. Yep.
Don't make a business on incentives. Don't make a business on inventory levels, right? You make a business on everything else.
Yep. Exactly. Nissan dealers know this all too well. So.
Oh yeah, they do.
If you're a Nissan dealer and you've been a Nissan dealer for longer than 7 years, you know exactly what I mean.
My mother visited over the weekend, and when she came up, she rented a Rogue, like a new Rogue.
Yeah,
that sucker's nice.
Yeah, they've changed the game a little bit, for sure.
Yeah, it freaked her out. She's like, I didn't know what it was doing. It was fighting me on the road. It's like, well, it was kind of like, it wasn't fighting her. It was fighting her to stay in the lane, I guess. I don't know. You're supposed to stay between the lanes. Speaking of workers over 55.
Hey! Did you prep that one?
Not at all. That just hit me. I just brought
came
up
to you.
The Rogue just came up as a rogue thought. New study or new data came out. This is from a Wall Street Journal podcast that workers over 55 years old are actually re-entering the workforce for the first time in a really long time. What they call the labor participation rate of that demographic went up to 38.9% from 38.4%. Now, I know you're saying that's not a lot,
but there's a lot of people in that age.
0.5%, right? But that equals 500,000 people who have re-entered the workforce, many of them citing inflation and rising costs. They're rethinking their retirement. So that number typically stays steady or goes down, which is why the reversal, and experts are saying they expect it to continue to rise. Two people they focused on in this podcast interview, one named Veronica, a retired South Carolina school teacher. She's reluctantly looking for a job as an educational consultant. She was a teacher. She has a history in that. She's basically been babysitting her grandchildren, right, for some extra money. But now with the costs rising, fuel costs, food costs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, she's reluctant, but she's like, I have to go back to the workforce if I want to maintain.
So what you're telling me is everyone in South Carolina should go look on Indeed for a young lady or a lady named Veronica and find out if she wants to be a training manager for their dealership. Is that what you're trying to tell me, Paul?
Exactly.
I see
exactly what I'm saying, because she doesn't want a 9-to-5, right? She did that. But she does want to contribute somewhere. She does have a lot of experience. She does have a lot of maturity, right? And now she wasn't available. Everyone counted her out. The other story they had was a gentleman named Bruce. He's 64 years old. He's been retired for a year. And he's one of the guys that's like, you know what? I realize how much I miss working, right? And maybe that wouldn't be enough to get him back into the labor force. But with costs and his retirement plan, you think about, I need this many years at this much money. That's all gone out the window. He said in the interview, he's like, I factored in 1 to 2% inflation into the calculation, but not 7 to 12%. Right. So, and so what was his industry? So,
compliance and information management. You mean
there's some legislation coming.
Graham-Leach-Bliley Act comes back into play and increased compliance measures are necessary at the dealership level. You might want someone who has experience at that from a mature level to be able to inspect your business at an admin level. You mean there might be people out there in the world that have that expertise?
People named Bruce,
like Bruce,
who are 64 years old.
I see what you did there, Paul.
You see what I'm saying? People named Bruce. And that's again, these are not, when you look at compliance, let's just talk about that for a second. You're not going to have a full-time person on compliance. You're just
not initially, at least.
The good news is Bruce doesn't want to work full time.
Right? Come on now.
Good news for everybody. Or maybe you're an industry partner who leans into compliance. And again, having somebody on a consultative basis who wants to work, who likes the team dynamic, who's, get this, grateful to be there.
Wow.
Right? There's an element of gratitude that both of these people that we mentioned are going to have coming in the labor force. So I think that again, we talk about takeaways, right? How do you leverage these folks coming back into the workforce in a growing amount, right? You can cater to them with your job offerings, with your placements, with just being aware that it's out there and target them. Because if you talk about someone who's going to be excited to be there, who is an adult, right? They've been through the working world. They understand systems and teams and structures. They understand relying on one another. They've actually finished the race in one sense. So you can already kind of see how the story ended. Right. They're not just getting started. There's a big opportunity. You know?
I would just go visit every Cracker Barrel locally and see if you can find. No, that was terrible. That was a bad joke. Someone ripped that out of there. Someone get that out of there. No, but seriously, like, go find. It's the same. Realistically, where are the people that you need to find to fill the labor shortage? It's like before it was like, go to the local shoe shop, go to the Dick's Sporting Goods to find your next salesperson.
Right.
Well, maybe you need to take care of like compliance or training and learning, which is a big piece of what we're talking about in the automotive industry. Well, a lot of those people are actually being found in an older workforce. So where are those people hanging out, spending their time, maybe currently working, that you can go make inroads to find out how to bring those people into your workforce? And so I make Cracker Barrel kind of as a backhanded, joke there, but at the same time, like, start thinking about where are those people, where are those places where you can go and engage with that workforce.
But look, I think if anyone walked in a Cracker Barrel and looked around, they'd be like, oh yeah, I get it.
I get it. Yeah,
but the truth is right now, like, think of the educators. Like, let's think education. Think of the educators, the teachers that you've sold cars to, that you do business with, that you give money to the local schools so they can do whatever, right? It's not a bad idea to reach out to them and say, hey, like, I've heard that, some people are coming out of retirement. If anyone is ever looking, we're looking to expand education, not on a full-time basis, and it might be a really good fit, right? That's where it starts. So hopefully this spurs a little thought. That person comes to mind and maybe you'll ask. Finally, something that we included in the show today, because it's really near and dear to our hearts, is that Facebook, not Meta, right? Meta's the parent company. Facebook is the social media platform. Facebook is rolling up its podcast platform after just 1 year, to which you said, I didn't know Facebook had a podcast platform. To which we say, that's why.
That's why. Bingo. Yeah. We actually had our podcast connected via Facebook, and I don't think it ever got a single listen, because that's not where people go to find that stuff. And, to like layer in that as an intentional like place to go to find podcasts is such, like, I just never saw that absolutely succeeding. They would had to like build out a whole nother platform, I think, instead of embedding it in, because there's already people go into Facebook and it's like 18,000 notifications. There's no way you could keep track of podcasts.
People don't go there to listen to podcasts, right? Which is a big deal. When you think about social media in general, people have a different mindset when they go into different platforms, right? When you go into Pinterest, guess what? You're looking to buy something, right? You're looking to buy something. You need ideas so you can go buy something. When you drop into Facebook, you're not looking to buy something unless you're a marketplace. You're not looking to listen to podcasts, but if you're on Clubhouse, if you're on Spotify, right? Even now, Twitter, even more, like, they had a quicker tie to fast conversations that are relevant to really modern topics, right? Because Twitter moves at that speed. People are in that mindset. I love this quote from Facebook spokesperson. I'm going to mess this up. Adelaide Coronado. That's a great name. Adelaide Coronado. Very good. It took me a second. Says, we're constantly evaluating the features we offer so we can focus on the most meaningful experiences. So I think our takeaway for auto dealers: be willing to fail, be fast to fail forward, right? Even if the largest, most well-resourced company in the world says, we tried it, we put a lot of resource behind it, it didn't work. Why? Because people weren't looking for that experience. You can do it too.
So what you're trying to say is get really good at the best things so that you can provide the best experience on those, and not spread yourself so thin that you're doing so many things that you don't even know how to take care of.
That could be like, that's like a spoken word poem.
Could be a whole thing.
You couldn't repeat that again, though.
No, I couldn't. But at least it's recorded, ladies and gentlemen. At least it's recorded.
Only thing that matters. So we're going to leave you with that today, right? Focus on the things that you're great at. You find what you're great at, what your customers really want, what the experience they want. Put those two together, and you have yourself one really amazing Tuesday.